you can still think something concentrated. As I did now, practice mind, practice some of the objects.
So you've got the ceramic dish.
It is,
and the
so you might want that.
And the short silver and the
I mean, like this
vertical.
little
And
edge.
it's got you
I have this,
Uh-huh.
this, and that. Sometimes what you want, I might easily pick up a little on this pewter thing. Pewter is kind of, the first thing is to lose yourself in looking. Once you really just sort of say, oh my gosh, here is this thing, and here's this other thing, and often you'll start by seeing nothing. I do start seeing something over here of a reflection of this cloth in here, and this is very obvious because it's highly reflective. Pewter is kind of wonderful. It's dull, but if you look at it, if you really look at it, there's a beautiful old picture, teapot over there, which I've painted before, which looks like there's nothing in it, but then it's very soft. There's a softness that just comes out of it, and there are reflective things.
Did you wet your pot first or no?
I didn't, actually, a little bit.
Okay.
And I would say you could or you couldn't.
Right.
And it also depends on your paper. This is Arches, 300 pound.
So if we want hard edges, we wouldn't want it to be too soft and wet.
Well, it could be soft and wet within here. If you wet the whole area, your edges are going to be hard because it's going to stop. The paint will travel just as far as you give it permission. And again, sometimes what you want is a little bit of accidental edge, or even if you're doing something where I'm emphasizing the harder edges, blacking, you can still think something could bleed into particularly, this apple could bleed into there, or whatever you see.
I thought that was a reflection of the apple.
It is. So you might want that to do that. But like this little edge that just got broken, great. Good. Undersea green is a lovely, it's a Daniel Smith. It's you'll see.
Oh God, what a
That's
great
sort of
color.
Gorgeous.
It's seaweed.
Kind of, yeah, seaweed is a good phrase.
But without that
How
phthalo.
does it mix? It mixes nicely.
Green.
It does.
For watercolors and for outdoor painting.
And I'm going to take blue.
A flat brush versus a round brush for this? Does it just totally matter of your preference or what you just
I
happen to
think
grab?
it's a matter of your preference. I like because I like also to use this for removal.
So you started with that.
I'm very fond of it. Okay, now I'll take it out a little. I do want it to be kind of blended and weird, but before I get too solid specifics of the...
Are you going for the reflections you're seeing?
I'm going for everything I'm seeing, and sometimes the thing to do is not to even think about what you're seeing. It's to say, I am seeing, back to this, I am seeing shape, and this is the shape I see in here. And sometimes, in fact, it happened with this when I was doing it, I had no idea at some points, what I was seeing. And it wasn't until I looked at it and had done some of the things behind it, and I said, oh, not the obvious thing where the apple abuts, but there were some things in here that suddenly became clear to me.
What do
Okay.
you mean significant?
Well, what they were.
If it was a reflection of this or that.
And if you don't think about what it is, that's not a bad idea. The other thing is, this can be a beginning, a lay down something in these general areas, and then you can come back later, either with very precise little things of patterning, because I haven't put that in yet. Partly it's too wet. But you can come back even a long time later You can either re-wet it, or you could do it. I want this to be a little overstated. Now, there's a lovely orange there.
Right.
And I'm going to put
Are the white spaces that you've saved for?
they happen to be
It's the reflection of your palette
that
in your
paper. Yeah, well, I think it's this paper and this paper.
Yeah,
See?
which we can see and y'all can't.
Yeah.
But the copper pot is reflecting the actual white paper.
Cleaning out some little whites here, and I'm going to pretty much leave this for the moment.
The orange looks good.
Again, what I say is, when you start putting something around it a little later, then it can get its reality. All right, now let's just do this little metal guy. I am going to just sort of dampen the area, and as Lon said, there are my edges. It will not go, more or less, it will not go over the area that I dampened. Then think, what's the word I said? Lose yourself in looking, what do I see? What is the undercolor? I immediately actually see a little yellow up here that's pretty subtle. And then, down here too, along this edge. And even if you don't see that much, you can fool yourself and say, okay, I don't care that I don't really see it. I'm going to put something in there.
Because I know the orange is reflecting somewhere.
Yeah, and I do see along here suddenly, yeah. The more you look, the more you see. I see something right along the edge. Probably a little bit more than I thought. And it seems to sort of go like that. More. You know, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
It is so true the more you look.
The more you see.
Yeah, because initially, I hardly saw that. In fact, I'm going to put a little pink in there. But I'm going to kill a lot of the color, too. All right, then let's get a little more. Where's your gray? One of my favorite grays is
that
light
American
red,
Cherry?
and that's the
Cotton,
red.
yeah.
Light red, and these are cotton. Light red, which I have, actually I have
Is
the red.
that like Venetian red or something?
Well,
No.
it's a very transparent, there are lots of these sort of light reds. This is what it is. And then here's cobalt. You know, see? And if you look at that, it's a beautiful, what it does is tell you what these components are. So basically, it's kind of a purple. It's not unlike moon glow, but it's not the same components. And one of the nice things is when you use it as two separate colors, you get that little glow.
Nice.
I'm now going to cover a lot of what I had. And remember, I put quite a bit of orange and a little pink and whatever else in here. So it's going to be mixing even more. In other words, it's going to double the purpleness.
Two that you're
Yeah.
putting on.
If
Don't
each
let it
time.
go too dense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't forget she knows what she's doing.
Except for those magical times when I don't. Now I am sort of doing a little pattern here, and which will only take on its meaning when I do this. All right, now another pull out. Another pull out here.
Is there a reason that you decide to do the reflective objects before the actual objects?
The only reason really is for the purpose of the demonstration. Here, when I did this, by the way, as I did this pulling out, I did this quite hard and repeated it because I wanted a harder one. Then here, on this little edge, I did it quite gently because I don't want it quite so hard, except I'll put a little bit, you know, your stroke doesn't always have to be exactly the same. I'll do the interior of this just because it's
Ready to go.
ready to go.
Oh,
Working with a bigger brush than maybe you think you want to is not a bad idea.
You know, they always are talking about brush strokes and oil paintings or acrylic paintings, and I've never heard it really talked about, except recently. I'm hearing it, probably was there all along, but brush strokes with watercolor too. And you've been talking about brush strokes this segment.
Yeah.
And it really is important.
I think terribly
I
important.
never thought about it, but
You know, and that's a good point, because oil painting often is, you know, that is just an inherent part,
Yes.
you know, of the mark of the artist and whatever. But the the brush stroke can also be such that it's basically in the paper and the water,
yes.
but not the same kind of, you know, lots of sticky paint, but what happens there
Yeah, right.
comes from your brush stroke. That there could be some amending to get some specifics from the cloth, which now I will do a rendition. This is not necessarily the only rendition. I think I also say in my handout that this is a dream of, it may not be a dream, it could be just all abstract shapes that you do, that you focus in just very much like this close-in thing, and just so you almost don't know what it is. Or it is also can be a dream situation for hyperrealism.
I love the way that's running just a little bit.
Well, I want a little, partly because it's
Yes.
cloth, partly
Yes.
I'm not. I mean, I could, you know,
Be
go-
precise, yeah, but
but
it doesn't.
I don't want to really. So I'm trying to. I think that's that skip between committing your thoughts to saying this pattern is X, Y, Z. You know, that I'm saying,
Yes, right.
oh, it has a little sort of little border
yes,
like
I
that. You know, it's almost like a little test to say, look at this for 5 minutes and then paint it over here
Yeah.
and don't look at it again,
Yeah.
and see if you can get the
Flavor.
flavor. When I talk about abutment, I mean that when you get to that join, where hard edges mostly, you could actually, it's not a rule to do this, but these are hard-edged things. They're man-made pots and copper and whatever they are. So that, where that meets there, where this pot meets the cloth, that's where you get your definition. And now you can do whatever variant of this you want. Lose yourself in looking so you see how the reflective things work with the shapes.